Len, it's me.
Marjorie, hi.
I brought you. Len, what happened?
Nothing.
Len?
I mean it. Nothing. It was so hard, Marjorie, but nothing happened. I almost. It's getting worse.
It's going to. I warned you about that. Bags only do so good for so long. If this person you're seeing is telling you that you can't feed.
It isn't that. It isn't. It's me. I'm the one telling me I can't. Feeding is. It's intimate. We all know it. I mean, sure, we don't normally get anything out of it like that, but the fact alone is undeniable. And so is the fact that what we get out of it changes when we are with someone. We haven't. Things haven't gotten to that step. But they could. This could be really special. And I don't want to do anything that could jeopardize or taint it. And I just feel like sharing that sort of intimacy with someone else, even though it's a biological necessity for me, and I know that it is, and I haven't hidden that fact, don't worry. I just feel like it could. I know that sounds dumb. I know it sounds trite, but it matters to me. God, I sound like a lovesick teenager.
You don't. Or, not entirely, anyway.
Yes, I do. I hear myself. It's just never been like this before. There's just something different this time.
Entering into a new relationship is an exhilarating experience. And it's okay for it to feel completely different from any you've been in before. Wanting to treat something like that delicately is completely understandable. But you have to remember that you have physical, biological needs. You can't just put that aside. As much as you might want to, or as justifiable as the desire to might feel at the time.
I know, I do. I know what I am, Marjorie. I couldn't forget, even if I wanted to. I promise I'm not backburnering myself or putting myself in any physical danger. I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate this. I want to do it right.
You're far from the first vampire I've known to fall in love with a human. It's easier when they're lucent, but that's beside the point. I've lived a long time. And I've seen this decision play out in a myriad of ways. Not all of them good. I'm not going to counsel you on how to handle your business. Yet. But I am going to tell you that you can't sustain this indefinitely.
You've been telling me that since I asked to be added to the list. I know.
I appreciate the reassurance that you do occasionally listen to me and take what I say to heart. But it's actually more than just the nutritional deficiencies brought on by strict bag feeding now. This is going to be discussed at the next clan meeting, but since I'm already here, I'm going to tell you. There's a valid reason we've had supply issues recently.
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't think you were holding out on me. I assumed it was just a donor shortage.
It's actually the opposite. There's been a sudden surplus.
What? How is that a problem?
Because governmental bodies are completely unfamiliar with the concept of efficiency. And any change from established parameters is foreign to them. Since there's now a surplus of donors, and thus a surplus of supply, the agency is struggling to keep up with not only the donations, but also with designating proper and equitable distribution.
But why? I haven't heard anything about blood drives. There hasn't been anything on the news about the agency asking for more donors.
This wasn't agency sponsored, or even their idea. The sudden jump in donations is all thanks to protests being done at Sarley Academy.
What sort of protests?
Vampire rights protests.
Right. For what? Do we need to worry?
No, these protests come and go. You'll eventually become so accustomed to them that they'll just begin to feel like background noise. It moves in a cycle. Some reformer with good intentions decides an injustice is being committed against us, and they feel compelled to try to force the system to rectify it. The agency steps in and smooths some feathers so we aren't all exposed. Things quiet and settle for a few decades, and then it starts again. I suppose I'm grateful people still have enough compassion to want to try to fix a thing they think is broken, even if they don't realize it isn't. This should blow over soon. But in the meantime, while the agency is still fumbling to decide on how to prioritize distribution, I can't promise that deliveries will be any more frequent or consistent than they currently are. We need to be judicious with what stores we have.
Marjorie, I will not rush decisions in my personal life because of an administrative hiccup.
I'm not asking you to, nor am I trying to insinuate that you should. I'm just trying to ensure that you're fully informed. What you have on hand should be more than enough so that you won't need to, particularly if you're being cautious in all things. That doesn't address the issue of nutrition, but at least it buys you some amount of time to decide how and when you want to proceed otherwise.
We just had this talk this morning, actually, when things got bad. I don't want this to be something that happens under duress. I want it to be because we both want to.
That's understandable, especially given how our magic works and how you work. But given everything you've told me about this person, I think there's a variable you haven't considered yet. Why haven't you yet?
Marjorie,
The answer to that question isn't for me. I don't need to know it, and I don't want to. But I think it's something that you need to answer for yourself. When you know that, everything will fall into place.